Alex, I noticed in the materials that there's quite a bit around this idea of learning, and not just a learning organization, but me as a learner. Can you give me some more information about that?
So a little more clarity as to how this...
How does that fit in with the program and what I'm learning?
Okay. Well, specifically, the reason this information is in the program is because we want the leader in an organization to model this quality. And basically, what learning is all about is understanding how to create more with what you have available. And this has been a common thread through what a lot of organizations have done who have been very successful at this. And learning is more than just knowing how to do something. It also involves knowing that and what.
So typically when I think of learning, though, I do think about acquiring a new skill or changing the way that I'm doing something or adding in a particular behavior. I don't necessarily think about the process behind that. It sounds like that's what you're talking about.
Well, what you just described, all of the elements, is considered transactional, which is how to.
Okay.
Which would make sense because what you and I have been involved in all of our training is all about building skills, which is how to do something.
And I think most participants, when they go to a training event, they're thinking about they're going to learn how to do something.
Exactly. And that's transactional in nature.
Okay.
So that's all about changing behavior, which is changing people from the outside so that they act differently. Transformational learning, which is what we want to emphasize here, involves a lot of self-reflection, and it's all about understanding what drives the change. So knowing
So why I'd want to change.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so it's all about modifying and altering some of your beliefs about what you're doing or why you should do something. For example, we teach people the communication cycle. So we really refine how they can communicate better. But even though they know how to communicate better, the question that comes up is, well, why don't they always choose that?
Right.
So what we want to do is we want to address the beliefs behind why it would be important to be more effective in your communications and helping people understand what drives your decisions, as well as you understanding what they consider when they take action. So it's about driving learning to a deeper level, or in essence, changing people from the inside out.
It almost seems like that would help not only during the program as a participant, but after the program, so that I can continue to learn if I'm trying to change. One of the things you mentioned in terms of the 5 support areas was the ability to really drive change. So if I understand that as a leader for myself, can I also use it when I'm trying to drive change in my organization?
Exactly.
Okay.
What we want to move people away from is leaders as knowers. Because just when you think you know everything, that's when you become most dangerous.
So I don't have to be the expert, and I shouldn't be the expert. Okay.
Well, what happens when you approach a situation from knowing, what it immediately does is it limits your openness to information and suggestions from other people. And what we're seeing in today's environment is it's too dynamic to limit the resources. So how do we really draw the most we can from the people we work with, and how can we create a synergy that will help us accomplish more?
Okay. Is there anything else in terms of transactional and transformational that would be important for me to know when I teach this?
Well, I think what would be helpful, and we make reference to this in the material, is that people need to understand that where they are in their current state is only a snapshot in time. In that as a leader, one of the things leaders do is they have a vision as to where they think the organization needs to go.
Okay.
The same applies to us as individuals. This gap between where we are and where we want to go is what we call the learning gap. And so in order to be able to close that, we need to be in this learning mentality, and we need to be open to other sources of information and other input.
So that's a key takeaway then to this piece is openness.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's important for the participants to walk away from here knowing that there is a difference and that there should be this openness, which is part of being open to who you are and being open to the people that you work with and what they can add.
And that's a main key in being authentic.
Exactly.
It seems as though this could be the whole idea of mastering personal leadership and being authentic and transactional versus transformational is very heady, very theoretical. Is there anything that I can do as an instructor that would help to make this piece practical? Or does it show up throughout the program, different techniques that help to see how this becomes practical?
Well, obviously the program takes people through some self-reflection so that they can start to get a better view of who they are.
Okay.
At the core of this whole program is raising the participants' level of consciousness and awareness as to what they do and why they do that.
All right.
And the transformational learning is once they become aware of what they do and they start to get some insight as to why they do it, then they are open to substituting other skills, other concepts that would be more helpful. And once they make that substitution, then what we do is we encourage and reinforce that behavior.
Okay.
So we not only do it as the trainers, but the participants are also put into learning teams, which the design of that is to reinforce that behavior as well.
Okay, so the learning team is like my in-class support.
Exactly.
All right.
So I think one way to wrap this whole thing up is that leaders understand that the only obstacle between where they currently are and where they want to be is themselves.
I'm almost my own worst enemy.
Absolutely.